Okay, quick little update. Got all the components pulled out for the most part. All the cables are over there. Got the loop pretty much drained to that bucket there. Doing the best I can. Pumps over here on the floor. So the loop is pretty much drained. Right there, we got a bit left in the bottom. Everything's out of the CPU block, the 120. The 360's damn near empty, so a bit more to go, and then we'll start pulling everything out. We'll get the motherboard setting on that. Okay, so we're about halfway through tearing down the Air 540. I got most of the components out. There's the reservoir there and a bunch of fittings. All the tubing that I used. Here's the 120 rad. Over here is all the cards. Here's the two that were in the system. There's the one that's going in. There's all the parts that are going in. There's the 480 rad that I just got, which is kind of big. Pumps over there. There's a power supply. Trying to save as much fluid as I can. It's pretty expensive coolant, so I don't really want to just waste it. But I got another bottle right there, and then another bottle inside, so I got 2 more liters, plus the liter and a bit that was in the system. I got to pull out the 360, and then get the motherboard tray out, and that will be it. So, time to get back to work. Okay, 360's out, motherboard's out, case is pretty much empty. And ready to be, I guess, cleaned up and packed away. Motherboard's over here. Ready for installation into the 900D. 360 and 120 are down there. And then the 480 is there. And there's all the tubing that I used, all my fittings. So, yeah, it's gonna look pretty good. And there they are, side by side. Give you an idea of the difference. Quite a big one. Go from the front. Okay. I got the motherboard tray mounted inside of the case. I also got the bracket for the 480 rad mounted, and I removed the 140mm fan there. I'm not sure where I'm going to put the 360. I don't know if I want to put it up top or put it down over there. I think I might leave those and put the 360 up top, 480 in the bottom, 120 right here, and then this way I can reuse a lot of the tubing that I took out. One quick shitty thing is if you look here, see the bottom there, and then up to the top, the space? The board, it's a little bit awkward in there, to be honest. And because of that, I can't fit the I/O shield. So, I'm going to have to figure out something in the back to clean that up, because that's going to bother me. But to put it in there and then try to line up all the screw holes, it doesn't work. So, first snag. Time to press on. Okay. So, motherboard's in, power supply is in. I put the first sleeved cable, that's going to be tucked and, set up nicely as soon as it's done. The motherboard 8-pin power didn't come. What I got was an extra GPU 8-pin power. It was supposed to be a 4+4. I ended up getting an extra 8 and 8. So that doesn't work, so temporary is going to be this, which is whatever. It will be changed, and it will be a sleeved cable, and look like that coming in, so that'll be nice once it's here. Now what I'm doing is I'm going to be attaching, the EK bridge to the 3 cards, and once that's done, I'll be putting those into the system and then planning my loop. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is blocking the cards quickly. Now I'll explain how this works, and probably make a how-to video quickly out of it. What I've done is, if you take a look at this water block here, it has the attachment for the fittings. This bridge, or link, sorry. It's still a tiny bit of fluid in there. But this is a link, right? And now this is designed to run fittings into, and then you'd run your tubing up or down or whatever. Now what I need to run 3 cards is this, which is a bridge. So what this does is this bridges the cards together. Now this is a link removed. Full focus. There we go. See, that is a link which usually goes on top of that. And it's held in by 3 screws. One here, here, and here. Now, once those are removed, you see the ports for the block. This is probably going to be intake and out because I'm running a serial block. So water will go in, flow into the card, come out here, flow down, flow into the card, come out here, flow down, flow into the card, come out here and out. Or, if I so choose, out the bottom. Now what it looks like on the opposite side of this, if I turn this around, bottom one's already attached obviously, it's like this. So these 2 ports line up with these 2 ports, and then that bridges the gap between each card and allows me to mount it into the case, especially when you have odd spaced PCI lanes like the Corsair 5 Formula Z does. So this is why I needed this. I did attempt to do it with fittings and spacers and tubing, and that does not work. It won't fit that way. So that's what I'm doing now. Cards are in. Fittings are attached. Now I just need to run some cables, get everything wired up, and then plan the loop. This might not work with the power there. The tube will come out and down. I think it'll be okay. We'll figure out how we're going to run it. Worst case scenario, I pull off the fitting on the bottom, point this down, or even put the 90-degree right there. Figure it out. Yeah. It's all coming together. Tons of space. Like stupid amounts of space. I got some rads over here, reservoirs, more fans, another 480 right there. More of these sleeved cables. Yeah, lots. Well, getting tired, as you can see. It's already dark out. And I got parts everywhere, so I got a lot to do. Alright, so it's about 9 o'clock. I probably started at 6. So I spent 3 hours doing this. This is about as far as I've gotten. I'm taking my time and planning everything out. So I got the cards blocked. Not blocked, connected. Cords or cables ran. I have them zip tied for now until I figure out exactly how I want them. I gotta figure out how to hide the ugly ass cables coming from them Enermax. That's one thing I hate about that, is all those wires showing. So I gotta get those hidden. And what else? I got one rad mounted. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put the 360. I don't think it's gonna go at the bottom and the front. I think I'm gonna put it up top. So I gotta figure out how I'm gonna run. Probably pump is gonna go to the 480, and then the 480 is gonna go up to the reservoir, or fuck, I don't even know. I'm like exhausted. I worked all day. I was up at 4:30, and I'm ready to go to bed. So this is where we're at so far, and we'll continue the build tomorrow. See you in the morning with the magic of editing. That is right now. So I've really gotten carried away since I got home. I threw on some music and decided just to hunker down and get to it, and I forgot to vlog. So I'm going to quickly go over what I've done so far. Last time you saw it, I had the motherboard tray in, this 120 mounted, the cards blocked with the bridge connector there, and I ran like the sleeved cables and everything like that. what I've done since I got home is I've mounted the res. I mounted on one of the motherboard standoffs, and the other side, believe it or not, I have a... It's so ghettoed, but I didn't want to drill a hole in the case. But I have a zip tie to the back of it there, up to a cable tie down there. And because of that, it's not very rigid, so it does tend to like tilt forward. So I stuck another couple of zip ties, and I'm just holding it straight up. I will find a permanent solution, but I just want to get it filled and get it going. Got the pump installed. I don't have it hooked up or anything, but I also did this. Now, what this is, I'll come around to the other side, make it easier. What this is a T-valve, kind of like a garden hose. And when you turn that all the way to the right, or sorry, the left, that is full open. And when you do this, that is full closed. I also have a stop on it right now, just so that a little bit of extra safety. But what that is the pump pumps out in that direction, and I got a T-fitting, which heads down the drain hose to here. So when I want to drain the system, I have a easy access point that is controllable, so I don't make a mess and have to like disconnect fittings and try to be quick about what I do like I did the last time. And then that carries on to the first rad, which is the 360 down there. What I'm going to do when I drain the loop next time, if I need to change something, is I'll put like a channel lock clamp on the hose heading towards the 360, and then I will open up this valve, and I will turn the pump on and pump the entire loop out of the case, and I will stop just before the pump runs dry. And then at that point I will just disconnect the top, or the fitting in the front, and drain it like that, or disconnect something higher up and use my lung power to finish draining the loop by just, say, disconnecting this here and then blowing into it and letting it drain the loop that way. So that's been done. The 480's been mounted up top. I have to put in more screws, as you can see. I only have 1 and 2 holding it up right now, because the cables for the front panel are sort of in the way, so I'm trying to mount it without damaging anything. There's a little bit of pushing and bending going on, but it'll be fine. Got the loop ran, so how the loop runs, this is still yet to be mounted. I was just doing this and remembered, oh my god, I have videos to make. Starting from the pump is going to go into the 360. Also, it's going to fill up the drain port, but that's just going to be ignored. So it pumps to the 360. The 360 is coming up to the bottom of the bridge connector. Going to go through all 3 cards, up into the CPU block. From the CPU block into the 480. From the 480 into the 120. From the 120 down to the reservoir. So we'll get nice and cooled liquid going into there, even more cooled, and then it'll go through the components. And the way the fluid runs, it runs quick enough that by the time it gets to the CPU and through all the components, the temperature difference is like points of a degree in terms of the temperature of the liquid. Like, it really makes no difference. Linus on NCIX Tech Tips actually did a video on figuring out whether or not there is a difference if you run, let's say, coolant to video cards, then video cards to a RAD, and then the RAD to the CPU, and then the CPU to a RAD, and then memory blocks, and yada yada yada. It was like zero difference by running through every component and then through RADs, or from component RAD. It made no difference. So that's what I've done here. We're basically going pump, RAD, all the components, RAD, reservoir, pump, RAD, components, blah, blah, and so on and so on. So that's what I've done there. On the back of the case here, I've gotten everything sort of connected. I'll go through it and tie everything down properly once I finish up with the loop. And that'll be that. I'll probably fill it while figuring out what I'm going to do in the back. But anyways, this is where I'm at so far, and this is kind of a big update for the build, so I'm going to stop it here and see you once everything's ready to be filled. Okay, so I finished building the loop. Everything's hooked up. All this stuff at the bottom here, these cables, that's all going to get cleaned up. I just have everything plugged in for temporary, just to get the loop filled. Like I said, after that everything's going to be clean. So one more time and we'll go over this from the reservoir. Reservoir into pump. Pump into T-angle, or T-fitting, which leads to my drain line. So at the end of that I have a, let me just grab it, I have a T-handle fitting where you turn this and it opens up the line. I also have a stop on it right now, so that allows me to put that outside of the case to safely drain the loop. And I'll turn the pump on, block off the line to the 360 rad here, and that'll force the entire loop out of that into a container or a pail or whatever, so I can safely and spill free dispose of the old liquid whenever I upgrade. Going from there, it's heading into the 360 down here. From the 360 into the block for the cards, throughout each card, up into the CPU block to the 480. Right now, I can't get a fan in here because I need this fitting, so it's kind of a waste to do a 480. But then again, if I did a 360, I still wouldn't be able to get in there because of this fitting, unless I ran it the other way around. But for now, that's okay. There's one fan, two fan, and the last fan I have to go buy. I ran out, and that'll go down there. So from the 480 into the 120, from the 120 into the top of the reservoir, and that's the loop. So I'm going to go ahead and start filling it, and I'll get back at you once it's filled. Okay, I got the loop filled. Most of the bubbles worked out. I'm going to let it run for about an hour just to make sure. I'm just tilting it side to side to try to loosen up any bubbles. There we go. See, look at that. A few more. So yeah, that's happening right now. Other than that, all came together. Spent maybe a total of, between yesterday and today, 7 hours building it. Well, tearing down the old system, draining it, and then building it into this one. So I have the 480 up top, the 120 there, the 360 on the bottom. I need 2 more fans for the 480. I ran out, so one will be going there. I can't put one here, otherwise I would, because of the 90-degree fitting. I can't make it work, and to put a regular fitting, the angle is too much, and you'd kink the tubing or risk having it come out of the compression fitting. And if I got a 360, I would still have the same problem, unless I reversed it and had the input and output of the rad over here, but then I got even more cables running. Like this, I hate enough. I'd like to run it in behind, but I also don't want to put the risk of pinching it with the back panel. So, hard drives are in, they're not hooked up. Optical drive's in, case is still in pieces. These aren't hooked up. I'm just cycling the loop for the next hour and a bit, and after that I will unplug it, put it back on the ground, and finish building, which is mostly organizing all this shit here. So there it is. Done, and well, sort of done.